Why do you keep repeating the same relationships? Why do you keep choosing the same kind of person? Why do the same patterns return, even when you promise yourself they won't? Why do you find yourself in the same arguments with different faces, the same disappointments wrapped in new beginnings, the same emotional pain disguised as someone new? It feels like coincidence. It feels like bad luck. It feels like the universe is working against you. But it isn't coincidence. And it isn't luck. It's familiarity. It's wiring. It's unresolved wounds looking for resolution. Most people don't repeat relationships because they want to. They repeat them because they don't know they're doing it. Repetition has a purpose. Your mind is trying to finish a story you didn't choose, but you've been carrying all along. Let's take this step by step. First, you don't choose people. You choose patterns. You're not drawn to someone because they're right for you. You're drawn to someone who feels familiar. Someone who fits the emotional blueprint that was created in your early relationships. The ones that shaped your sense of love, safety, and self-worth. Your childhood doesn't just influence you, it programs you. How you were loved, how you were ignored, how you were criticized, how you were praised, how you were abandoned, how you were controlled. All of this becomes your internal template. This template tells you, this is what connection feels like. This is what love is supposed to be. This is normal, and your nervous system listens. So when someone comes along who fits that emotional pattern, even if it hurt you before, your system reacts with recognition. Not comfort, recognition. There's a difference. Comfort heals you. Recognition repeats you. You think you met someone new, but emotionally, you met someone you already know. Second, you repeat relationships to resolve unfinished business. Your psyche has one relentless mission: to finish the emotional story you couldn't complete when you were younger. If you had an unavailable parent, you may be drawn to unavailable partners. Not because you enjoy it, but because you are unconsciously trying to finally earn their love. If you had a critical parent, you may choose partners who judge you, trying to finally prove you're good enough. If you had chaotic relationships growing up, calmness may feel boring, while emotional intensity feels like love. This is called repetition compulsion. It's not self-sabotage. It's an attempt at self-healing, just using the wrong method. Your mind believes, if I can recreate this old wound, but this time, make it turn out differently, I'll finally heal. The problem? You're choosing people who recreate the wound, not people who can heal it. You can't finish an old story with the same kind of characters. Who broke you the first time? Third, you confuse anxiety with chemistry. You think excitement is attraction. You think butterflies mean connection. You think intensity means love. But butterflies are often just nervous system activation. It's your body saying, this feels familiar. This reminds me of something. This matches the old emotional pattern. If love felt unstable when you were younger, your body may interpret instability as chemistry. If love felt unpredictable, your body may confuse calmness with disinterest. The person who triggers your anxiety feels like passion. The person who makes you feel safe may feel suspiciously calm. This isn't your fault. It's conditioning. Your nervous system was taught that love is supposed to feel like tension, uncertainty, and yearning. So when someone kind, consistent, and stable appears, your body doesn't know what to do with them. They don't match the template, and templates always win until you rewrite them. Fourth, you repeat relationships because you repeat yourself. Relationships don't just repeat because of who you choose. They repeat because of how you show up. Your attachment patterns follow you. If you fear abandonment, you may cling, overthink, overanalyze, or test people, and those behaviors push people away. Fulfilling your fear. If you fear engulfment, you may pull back, shut down, or create distance, and that distance creates conflict. Fulfilling your fear. If you fear being unworthy, you may overgive or accept mistreatment, reinforcing the belief that you don't deserve more. This is not your fault. It's the result of experiences you never chose. But it is your responsibility once you see the pattern, because patterns you don't consciously examine become your destiny. Fifth, You repeat relationships because of emotional familiarity. You don't attach to people. You attach to environments. The environment you grew up in, whatever it felt like, becomes your emotional home. If love was chaotic, chaos is home. If love was unstable, instability is home. If love was full of conflict, conflict is home. If love meant proving yourself is home. If love meant shrinking yourself becomes home. So when you meet someone who creates a similar environment, your system says, yes, this feels right. Not because it's healthy, but because it's familiar. And the brain loves familiar more than it loves happy. Sixth, you repeat relationships because trauma bonds feel like destiny. A trauma bond creates a powerful emotional cycle: longing, relief, fear, reconciliation, hope, disappointment. Over and over. Your nervous system becomes addicted to the highs and lows. When someone is inconsistent, your body releases dopamine during the moments they return. And dopamine is addictive. You don't become attached to the person. You become attached to the relief they give you. After causing the tension, that relief feels like love. But it's just temporary regulation. This keeps you locked in, and it makes repetition feel inevitable. Seventh, you repeat because healing requires awareness. Patterns don't break just because you want them to. They break when you understand them. Awareness is the beginning of change. Not action, not force, not willpower. Awareness, seeing the pattern clearly, is the first step in rewriting it. So let's go deeper. Let's explore the kinds of childhood experiences that lead to repeated relational cycles. If you grew up being emotionally ignored, you may seek people who withhold affection, not because you want to be ignored, but because you want to finally feel chosen by the type of person who never chose you. This creates a loop: chasing, hoping, explaining, proving, trying to earn what should be freely given. If you grew up around unpredictability, calmness may feel unsafe. You may feel uncomfortable around stability. You may mistake dysfunction for passion. Your nervous system learned that love comes with anxiety. So anxiety becomes your cue for love. If you grew up feeling responsible for others' emotions, you may become a fixer, a caretaker, a pleaser. You may choose people who need saving because you were taught that your worth is measured by how much you can tolerate. You bond with people through suffering because you learned that suffering earns connection. If you grew up feeling inadequate, you may choose partners who confirm that belief, partners who criticize, partners who compare, partners who withhold validation, partners who make you feel like you're never enough, not because you enjoy it, but because the internal narrative is familiar. Your wound attracts your mirror. If you grew up afraid of abandonment, you may attach quickly. You may overgive. You may ignore red flags. You may accept less than you deserve. You may tolerate inconsistency just to avoid loss. And when someone finally leaves, it confirms the fear you already carried. This becomes your emotional loop. If you grew up walking on eggshells, you may choose people with unpredictable moods, people who lash out, people who shut down, people you have to constantly manage. You learn to earn love by staying small, and now you gravitate toward people who require you to shrink in order to stay. If you grew up without emotional safety, you may confuse vigilance with connection. You may confuse tension with chemistry. You may confuse fear with intensity. You chase what hurt you because you never got closure from what hurt you. Now let's talk about the deeper layers. Layer 1. Your brain is trying to complete the original wound. When you meet someone who resembles your past, your mind thinks, this is my chance. This time I can fix it. This time it will end differently. So you repeat the story again and again until you finally realize you cannot heal a wound in the same environment that caused it. Healing requires new conditions. Layer 2. You are loyal to your emotional history. People think loyalty only applies to others. But the strongest loyalty is the loyalty you have to your past. You are loyal to your earliest experiences. your earliest relationships, your earliest definitions of love. Even if they hurt you, you cling to the familiar. Because the unfamiliar feels threatening. Even if the unfamiliar is healthier, your brain would rather repeat a known pain than risk an unknown possibility. Layer 3. Your body confuses familiarity with safety. Your nervous system is not wired for happiness. It's wired for survival, and survival prefers the known. This is why you can logically know that someone is bad for you, but still feel magnetically drawn to them. Your body isn't seeking joy. It's seeking what it recognizes. It equates predictability with safety, even when the prediction is pain. Layer 4. You recreate the role you played growing up, whatever you had to become as a child. The caretaker, the peacekeeper, the invisible one, the strong one, the responsible one, the mature one, becomes your identity, and you attract people who allow you to replay that role, even if the role breaks you, because you don't know who you are without it. Layer 5. You struggle to receive what you didn't grow up with. If you grew up without emotional safety, safety feels unfamiliar. If you grew up without affection, affection feels suspicious. If you grew up without consistency, consistency feels boring. If you grew up without respect, respect feels uncomfortable. Healthy love doesn't feel like your story, so you push it away, not because you don't want it, but because you don't recognize it. Now let's talk about why the pattern is so hard to break. Patterns don't just repeat emotionally, they repeat biologically. Your brain wires itself around what you experience repeatedly. Your nervous system adapts to the emotional climate you grew up in. Your body forms chemical associations with familiar relational dynamics. This is why the same relationship shows up. Even when you change partners, change cities, change friend groups, change everything. If you don't change your awareness, your patterns will find you, no matter where you go. So how do you break the cycle? Break it by forcing yourself to choose differently. You break it by understanding what you've been choosing. You don't break it by trying harder. You break it by getting honest. You don't break it by avoiding relationships. You break it by becoming conscious within them. Let's go through the steps. Step 1. Notice the pattern. Ask yourself, who do I keep choosing? What do they have in common? How do these relationships make me feel? What role do I keep playing? What am I trying to resolve? Patterns become weaker the moment you name them. Step 2. Identify the original wound. Patterns don't come from nowhere. There is always an origin. Maybe it was a parent. Maybe it was a first love. Maybe it was a caregiver. Maybe it was constant rejection. Maybe it was emotional chaos. You don't need to blame anyone. You just need to understand the imprint. Because the pattern you repeat as an adult is the wound you never healed as a child. Step 3. Separate past from present. When you're triggered in a relationship, ask, is this feeling coming from now or then? Most of the time, it's then. Your partner said something small, but it hit something big. Your partner pulled away slightly, but it awakened a deep fear. Your partner disagreed with you, but it activated an old wound. Awareness gives you space. Space gives you control. Step 4. Learn to tolerate healthy love. Healthy love may feel strange at first, uneventful, calm, stable, predictable. You may want to run. You may feel bored. You may feel suspicious. You may feel unworthy. This is just your nervous system adjusting. Healthy love feels wrong when you grew up in emotional chaos. Give your body time to learn a new rhythm. Step 5. Choose people who match your healing, not your history. Your history will pull you toward what hurts you. Your healing will guide you toward what grows you. When choosing a partner, ask, does this feel familiar? Or does this feel right? Familiar is the past. Right is the future. Step 6. Build a relationship with yourself. Every repeated relationship is a reflection of your relationship with yourself. If you don't feel worthy, you will choose people who mirror that belief. If you don't have boundaries, you will choose people who cross them. If you don't value your needs, you will choose people who dismiss them. When you change the relationship you have with yourself, You change the relationships you attract. Step 7. Understand that stability is a skill. You weren't taught how to choose safe love. You weren't taught how to trust calmness. You weren't taught how to regulate your emotions. You weren't taught how to stay instead of chase. You weren't taught how to receive instead of prove. These are skills, not instincts. You learn them the same way you learned your patterns, through repetition. But this time, repetition in the right direction. Step 8. Stop romanticizing intensity. Intensity is not intimacy. Chaos is not chemistry. Anxiety is not attraction. Uncertainty is not love. Intensity burns fast. Intimacy grows slow. What you want is slow, steady, honest, present, reciprocal, calm enough to feel safe, deep enough to feel meaningful. Step 9. Let go of the fantasy of fixing the past. You cannot heal through reenactment. You cannot make a new partner behave like the parent who didn't love you. You cannot win a war that ended years ago. You cannot change people to finally get what you deserved long ago. The wound is old, but the healing happens now. Step 10. Redefine what love feels like. Love is not supposed to feel like fear. It is not supposed to feel like tension. It is not supposed to feel like confusion. It is not supposed to feel like waiting for someone to choose you. Real love feels like clarity, like steadiness, like presence, like emotional safety, like mutual effort, like consistent energy, like freedom without fear. It feels like coming home, to a place you didn't know you were allowed to have. So why do you keep repeating the same relationships? Because your mind is trying to heal something it doesn't understand. Because your body is addicted to what is familiar. Because your heart is loyal to its history. Because your wounds are choosing for you. Because the past is louder than the present. But patterns are not fate. They are learned. And what is learned can be unlearned. When you see the pattern, you interrupt it. When you understand the pattern, you weaken it. When you make conscious choices, you replace it. The moment you stop chasing what hurt you, you make room for what heals you. You stop selecting people who trigger your wounds. You stop confusing chaos for love. You stop calling anxiety chemistry. You stop accepting the bare minimum. You stop reenacting old stories. And something shifts. You begin to choose differently, feel differently, respond differently, desire differently, love differently. You stop repeating the past. You start creating the future. A future where love is not pain, not fear, not proving, not longing, not survival. A future where love is actually love, where connection feels safe, where affection feels natural, where consistency feels comforting, where you don't have to fight for attention, where you're not waiting for the next emotional collapse, where you can finally breathe, and that future becomes possible. The moment you stop asking, why do people keep doing this to me? And start asking, what in me keeps choosing this? Not with blame, with awareness. Awareness is the end of repetition. Awareness is the beginning of freedom. Because once you understand your patterns, you stop needing them. And once you stop needing them, you stop repeating them. That is how you break the cycle. That is how you rewrite your story. That is how you learn to love without fear. That is how you become the version of yourself who no longer repeats the same relationships because you've finally healed the reason you needed them.